This is a truck that we got in just yesterday. First off, we're just gonna do, of course, the oil. So some regular things, of course, in changing the oil, we do this. We recommend every 5,000 miles. Front diff, we always check those as well. I would recommend checking that every 3 oil changes. On these Powerstrokes, the front differential doesn't actually spin all the time, so that doesn't get dirty very often. Your front steering components, we check those. We call it the shakedown test, where someone moves the steering wheel side and side, and you check all the ball joints on all of the steering components to see if they're moving at all. Same thing with the shocks. We check those. If your truck is super bouncy, that means your shocks aren't working right. Brake pads and rotors. We definitely know if the rotors are bad. If you're braking and you feel it in your foot that's like shaking really bad, that means your front rotors are bad. And if you kind of feel the whole truck shaking, that normally means the rear rotors are bad. Brake pads, they vary when you need to change them. If you're towing a lot, it's a little different. You need to change them more often. Here's your lower fuel filter housing. All you do, I've already dumped it, so all you do is it might leak a little bit. But you turn that and the fuel will come out of here. You drain that, and then there's 5 bolts all the way around it. All these spots here. You pull it down, you can replace your filter, and it looks like this. But you can always tell if it's bad is if this hole, see how it's a little darker on the bottom than it is on the top? It shows that this filter was getting dirty. We always recommend that we change these every 15,000 miles, just because these have had problems with their CP4 pumps, so we know that. So no matter what, they get lower and upper filters. Rear differential, same thing as the front ones. A little trick on these Powerstrokes, actually, a lot of the time, these bottom bolts, if you take one of them out, it's actually the drain. So I just barely drained this one as well, and this one, I pulled this bolt out and I drained all the fluid, and then right here, the 3/8, I pulled that plug out and filled it back full of 75/90 gear oil. So that's been done, and while I was at it, I checked rear brake pads, checked rear rotors, checked rear shocks and suspension components. It all looked good. And whenever you're changing your oil on your Powerstrokes or any car that matter, you always got to make sure that your old filter gasket is not still up there, because sometimes they get stuck and you can double gasket it and you'll leak everywhere. So what I always do is I get my new filter, I get a little bit of oil in my hands. Yeah, you can get your filter up there. And people always over tighten these, they don't need to be that tight. You always got to clean the filter, and you always got to clean up on top here. Fluid gets on top of these filters. For the first couple hundred miles, little bits of fluid will leak down here if you don't clean that up all the way. You can see all that oil coming down just because it's just excess. Clean that up good, and clean up all your other spots you dumped fluid out of. So first thing I'm going to look at up here on top is, of course, your air filter. And one thing these Fords does is it has a little gauge here. This yellow, it shows from green to red. Red means that it's bad, that it needs to be replaced. And as you can see, this little yellow thing is almost all the way to the red. You reset it by pushing this button in the back, and that's where it's supposed to be. So that means that this filter is pretty dirty and needs to be replaced. If your filter's dirty, your truck won't be able to breathe. You'll lose power, you'll lose gas mileage, all the above. So here you can see the difference. It means this filter was overdue for a change. Then we always go through and you can check all the most important fluids. As here you can see your level for your power steering fluid. Min to max, you make sure that that's all the way up and good to go. And then your coolant, we make sure that it's all the way up to the max, which it is here. Same thing back here with your brake fluid. It's up there to max, which is good. Then if you look back here, this is one of the things that people forget more than anything. This is your upper fuel filter, and then down underneath it back here is your crankcase filter. This is the one that came out of the truck. And if you look, you can see all of your injector codes on here. If your truck still has these on it, that most likely means that your truck has never had this replaced. And in all of our trucks, we put in the updated one. See how much skinnier it is? It's pretty much just a baffle that lets it through. This has all sorts of filters and it clogs up super easy, and they want you to replace it every right around 30,000 miles. These are supposed to be a lifetime filter. I would replace them probably close to every 100,000 miles. I'll show you a truck that has never had one of these replaced, and I'll show you what happens when you don't replace them. Here, this is a 2015 Powerstroke, same motor. If you pop the hood, if you come look back here, here's your crankcase filter. There's all your injector codes, which tells me it's never been replaced. This truck has 176,000 miles, so that thing should have been replaced 5 or 6 times by now. And now let's look underneath and look what happened. That oil pan is coated oil, and it's been seeping out of there for years. And it's not just the lower pan. These Powerstrokes have an upper oil pan as well, and that's the most common spot where these leak. And to do that job, you have to pull transmission, pretty much everything over there to get it all done right. And that costs thousands and thousands of dollars. So that's something that we're gonna have to do on this truck because the guy didn't replace his crankcase filter. Okay, now I'm gonna fill this truck back full of oil. You can always look in the cap. Well, most of the time on the cap, it shows you what type of oil. In these trucks, they recommend either 10W30 or 5W40, depending on if it's hot outside or if it's cold outside. Right now, we're still in summer, fall. So this is the 1030. On these 6.7s, I like to start with 12 quarts. I'll check the oil, make sure it's up. See, it's reading that it's actually a little bit high. It's like right there. I've got to remember that I did replace upper and lower fuel filters. That being the case, I have to fill them before I try starting the truck, or it won't start. Or even worse, it can hurt the CP4 pump, because their CP4 pump is lubricated only by the diesel fuel. So these trucks, I just turn it on. You'll probably hear it down here or up here. It's going to be filling the lift pump in the tank will be filling the filters. I'll show you. Every about 30 seconds, your fuel pump will automatically stop. So you have to shut the truck off and then turn the key back on, and the whole process will start over. So now if you hear again, you can hear that air in the system. Turn it back on. You can't hear it, but the pressure is starting to build. I can hear that the pump, the lower filter, is getting full. There's still a little bit of air bubbles that it's pushing out, so now it's pushing it all to the upper filter. So I'm going to cycle the key probably 1 or 2 more times. All right, so I'm not hearing any air anymore, so I'm going to start the truck. I'm going to give it a second, let all the oil kind of drain back down to the pan. And I'll check it. Now you see on there, now it's not even showing, well, it's barely showing on the tip of the dipstick, so I need still about another 1.5 quarts. I've got 2 quarts in here, but I'll start with 1 and I'll check it. I'm in the lower 1/4 of my hash marks, so I'm still going to need right about another 1/2 quart. Now you can see I'm on that top hash mark. That's right where I like it. So if you're looking to either purchase a Powerstroke or service one yourself, one that you might already have, those are the things that we check on every single truck. My 2 biggest recommendations that people always forget to do is 1, your crankcase filter, and 2 and 3, your fuel filters.